The numbers told the story. They always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
Good Thursday morning to you. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and of course, Sirius XM channel 158. It's Gil Alexander. It is a numbers game live from Circa Resort Casino, downtown Las Vegas. Kelly Bidlin remains on assignment back in Nashville, Tennessee. He'll be back on Monday. Today on the show, Danny Higgins has put together a banger. Will Hill will join us, talk Major League Baseball and National Football League, all of his bets that he has today and beyond coming up on the show this morning. And then, of course, on the crescendo to Unscripted with the Crackman Bill Krackomberger, which we always do at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, a couple guests that will do some season-long stuff with us. Paul Card joining us to talk the global football, soccer, as we refer to it. Paul's got a whole bunch of stuff, whole bunch of different kinds of plays in the Premier League. We're talking about a team to be relegated, team to finish last. That, of course, at the bottom of the Prem. But he's also going to do Golden Boot stuff, all kinds of different season-long bets, and we'll track these all season long. Paul Carr on the Prem. Then he'll come back tomorrow and actually give his standard three-pack of plays for the first weekend of Premier League football, if you will. And then Warren Sharp will join us. We have, of course, had extensive segments on our VSiN NFL betting guide. Aaron Schatz was here to talk FTN, their NFL betting guide for the year. Aaron Schatz's FTN, by the way, is the official title of that one. Cleve was here. Cleve TA talked about his football preview. You know who we haven't had on the show yet this year? Warren Sharp with his football preview. Well, we remedy that today. And as is Warren's thing, and this is always great when Warren comes on preseason because his sort of cottage industry is not only schedules, right? Easiest, hardest, the obvious thing there, but he will also break down scheduling quirks with net rest, rest edge, which teams get the best of it this year, which teams get the worst of it. Are there 3 games in 10 days? Are there 4 games in 17? Those were always bugaboos for him. We find out that got remedied in what is always an interesting scheduling discussion with the National Football League because of all of our sports leagues, right? It's the one that is the most imbalanced. It's the one that's the most incongruent just because, unlike the other sports, divisions are playing other divisions specifically, right? Not full schedules. If you got 31 games and you got to play all 31 other teams, then it would be much more even. But this is just, it's bizarro in terms of not only who you play, but also what kind of games you play in terms of rest and what your opponent's rest are, and then aggregate them not only on a week-to-week or in specific weeks, but also aggregate them throughout the whole season. So we'll talk to Warren extensively about that. He's got his Pro Football Guide out. Let's do the administrative stuff first. MLB August, I think we're done. I think we're not going to do a back-to-back here. Tigers up 3-2 yesterday in Pittsburgh at PNC. Kenley Jansen takes the hill. We had Paul Sporer on yesterday. Paul texted me after this game. He goes, I hate being so right with this. Because all he said the problem with the Tigers is they just didn't address the bullpen. And Kenley Jansen, of course, is the face of that as the closer. Gives up a one-out game-tying solo shot in the ninth. And then with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, game tied. Tigers trying to push it to extras at this point. Brandon Lau off the right field foul pole, or as Warner Wolf like to say, the fair pole. And the Pirates win. And so that drops the Tigers now. It was great until this past weekend, and now it has all gone into the toilet, the toilet. It would require a winning streak of epic proportions here to get us back in this. But as it turns out now, it's probably not going to happen for our 60-1 shot on the Tigers. The Phillies now solo lead for August wins. I know Mark Borchard, that was his play for the month of August. So let's go Mark Borchard. If we can't win, let's have him win at 13-5. Obviously, Philly's not nearly as long of a shot as the Tigers, but the Phillies at 13-5 have the lead right now. 3 teams behind the Phillies, Rays, Padres, and Cubs, all with 12 wins. Then you see the Metropolitans, Cardinals, and Blue Jays all with 11 wins. Tigers mired, and I do mean mired now at 9-8. Nothing special in this month of August. They do have a 3-game set again at Kansas City this weekend. Better sweep, or we go even further into the toilet. Tennis yesterday, clean sweep. Hope everybody played the tennis yesterday. We had 2 plays, the clean sheet, I should say. The big one was Thiago Agustin Tirante, who took down Jakub Mensik as a plus 183 dog. We win that in 3 sets. And then Amanda Anisimova, 1-4, as they say in the tennis game. 6-1, 6-4 win, clinical over Linda Noskova. That was at even money. So we hit both of those. Good day. Again, hope everybody was on it. And here's the deal now, because I only have one play again today. We're in the quarterfinals in Cincinnati. Again, the tournament that precedes the U.S. Open here in hardcourt season. U.S. Open, of course, being the Slam. Great quarters on the ladies' side. Sabalenka got knocked out last night by Sarah Beliak, which was just amazing. Sabalenka's got something going on between the ears these days. But we have one play, and it's on the men's side. It is once again, for the third straight match, Thiago Agustin Tirante, plus 278 versus Artur Fils. So here's the deal again. This is, we talk about this with sports betting, that sometimes the narrative, the mainstream media narrative, helps us as sports bettors. Well, a few matches ago, Tirante played Novak Djokovic. My numbers pointed to Tirante. I did not have the onions to play Tirante at that number against Djokovic, because after all, he is Novak Djokovic. Tirante ends up winning, but Djokovic ends up getting sick, vomits all over the place, literally, on the side during that match. And so that took the mainstream narrative. Oh, well, Djokovic got sick. They don't have access to the numbers, though. Actually, Tirante might have won that anyway, even were Djokovic going full steam there. Took him in the next match, Tirante against Martin Landaluce. We won there. Yesterday as the big dog against Mensik. Today we're taking him as a plus 278 dog against Artur Fils. Now, again, do I think Fils should be the favorite? I do, but I don't think Tirante should be anywhere close to plus 278. In fact, even plus 178, he probably shouldn't be. So Tirante is the play. Let's go see if we can get that one, a third straight win on, what did Matt want to call him? Tat? T-A-T? Tat? See if we can do it again. This time is an even bigger dog than yesterday. Okay. We started this with Matt yesterday. Matt Brown was kind enough to join me yesterday. We started this with him yesterday, but I'll go through it again because we didn't get through the end of it, and I want to get the Drew Dinsick angle. We have 2 NFL preseason games today. We have 3 tomorrow. And again, just good to know what the status is with the main players. Again, Vegas at Houston today. Kirk Cousins, of course, has taken the bulk of the first-team reps. Mendoza has taken the bulk of the second-team reps, but in this game, Raiders plan to give Mendoza extended first-team reps against the Houston defense. DeMeco Ryans, of the Texans' part, confirming that a change of approach here in Week 2 as contrasted with what they did in Week 1. They're going to play everyone healthy and cleared to play. Everyone's going to start here for the Texans. C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, Nico Collins, they're in line for the first live snaps of the summer. Now, let me incorporate the Drew Dinsick angle here, which is he doesn't care about anything but the joint practices and fading the team that got crushed in the joint practice. In other words, taking the team that did well in the joint practice, and the assumption is they're going to not play it as aggressively in the actual game that follows that. Well, the Texans and Raiders had a joint practice, and all reports indicating that the Texans controlled the line of scrimmage, gave the Raiders major trouble. Las Vegas struggled defensively through multiple pick sixes during the controlled sessions, giving Houston clear momentum. So if you're into the Drew angle, the Drew Dinsick angle, this would be a play on the Raiders, -1.5 at Houston tonight. There's one more we'll get to. It's not actually tonight or tomorrow in terms of a joint practice angle. As far as the other game tonight, San Francisco at the Chargers. Mike Shanahan about Brock Purdy says, haven't told him yet, but there's a good chance, meaning Purdy will probably go today. Mac Jones didn't play in Week 1 preseason either. He'll probably get some reps today. No CMC, no George Kittle, no Nick Bosa. Even Mike Evans left Tuesday's joint practice with leg soreness. A lot of tightness. That's the word that the Niners are using for a lot of these injuries. Tightness. Substation conspiracy alert. Tightness is what it causes. And then with the Chargers, starters are going to play a series, then they're going to come out. Jim Harbaugh very clear about this. Justin Herbert didn't play in Week 1, so this will mark his preseason debut under Mike McDaniel's system. Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnson, they'll get some snaps as well. Tomorrow, Jets at Pittsburgh. We said yesterday it was going to be Aaron Rodgers. Not going to be Aaron Rodgers anymore for Pittsburgh. It is going to be Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, Drew Aller, some combination of those three. Drew Aller coming off the just ridiculously good performance in Week 1 of the preseason. Remember with the Jets, Geno is touch and go here, but they have a real battle for the number 2 position. like the Steelers do, maybe even a even stronger battle for the number 2 position with the Jets. Cade Klubnik, Brady Cook, Bailey Zappi, they'll all get some run tonight. Jets at Pittsburgh. Steelers are a 1.5-point home dog there after the Aaron Rodgers news came out yesterday. Tomorrow there's 3 games. Carolina at Jacksonville. Bryce Young and the starting offense expected to play multiple series for the second straight week under Dave Canales. He's going to play the majority of the starters for a couple of drives, they say, for Carolina. And then with Jacksonville, Liam Cohen reversing course this week. He'll play his starters, he says. So that's a bit of a shift from his original plan to hold him out of every preseason game. So he will play some Trevor Lawrence and others to, quote, get a couple drives in, potentially, unquote, against the Panthers. Another 1.5-point road favorite. All 3 of these games we mentioned, 1.5-point road favorites. Green Bay at Denver. Jordan Love set to play for the second straight week. Matt LaFleur hasn't detailed how long he'll stay in the game. Quote, you're just going to have to watch and find out. So I think it's pretty fluid. There you go. That's all we got from Matt LaFleur. Love played only the opening series in the Week 1 loss to Pittsburgh. Broncos are 6-point home favorites. Bo Nix going to make his preseason debut for the Broncos in that one. And as far as the other joint practice news, the other bit of joint practice news I wanted to mention, if you're into the Drew Dinsick fade angle, mentioned the play on would be the Raiders then because they were so dominated by the Texans. The other one this weekend is all indications from the Patriots and Eagles joint practice is that the Patriots performed very well against Philly's defense, and the Patriots secondary dominated. So that would be a play on the Eagles on Saturday, if you're into the fade the joint practice good team angle that Drew loves so much. We'll come back. Will Hill joins us. All his bets next on a numbers game right here at VSiN.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Most people think sports betting is about picking winners. Ungambled is built on a different idea: matched betting and arbitrage. It's a tool that teaches you how to use sportsbook bonuses and promotional offers to capture value, whether or not your side covers. And Ungambled backs it up. If you don't turn a profit on your bankroll in 8 weeks, they refund your membership. To learn more, start with a free guide at ungambled.com/VSiN. That's ungambled.com/VSiN. And use promo code VSiN for 10% off. Bet sharp, look square. It's Gil Alexander. I just want to read a couple tweets here. Chance Copperpot. I have to agree with Will on Hard Knocks. I binged watch all of the new season last night. I thought it was pretty good. Pardon me, I don't know overstate it. He says, I thought it was pretty good. And the last few seasons have been meh to me. There's a very long scene with the slow motion spiral that seemed like filler. Oh, that sounds exciting. And this is from Xavier82. I hope Will's first play on the Megapod is the Titans over the Jets in Week 1. Robert Saleh returns to stomp his former team into the ground. Let's go. NFL almost here. Yeah, man, you get me charged up. And then Bob Timus Prime. He's kind of all over the place in this tweet. He says, I also had a rough year last year, trying not to let it creep into this year. I never let the quote-unquote eye test have any weight. I think that was a mistake. It's hard to balance how much weight to give it, though. That's the art of picking, I guess. Yeah, Optimus Prime, if it was easy, right? If it was easy to solve this puzzle of sports betting, man, we'd all be on a beach, right? So it's a puzzle. It's always difficult. It's always an alchemy of different things. Numbers, motivations, all kinds of things, which we'll get into Warren Sharp here later in the hour. And let's see. Scotty. Good morning, Gil. Doing a great job flying solo. Thank you. Could you please ask Paul Carr if he's also Arb Thief? I don't know who that is on Twitter. Cheers. I'm pretty sure he's not. It's Paul Carr, ladies and gentlemen, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on Twitter at Paul Carr, Carr. He works at True Media Networks. He doesn't just work there. He's one of the guys that runs the show over there, I believe is a proper way to phrase it. Paul Carr joins us now once again from the Heartland. You are not you don't have another Twitter account, right? No.
I don't have time for that. I'm not Arb Thief.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Didn't think so. All right. So season long, Man City to win the title. Paul already talked about that. Plus 350. Let's get this one out of the way because we already talked about it. Hull City, then you're betting to finish last, I'm guessing?
Yeah. I got him a plus 120 last night. If there's plus money out there or even paying a little juice, I would still like it. Let me put it this way. So last year in the championship is the second division. Hull City finished sixth in the championship, and they won the playoff between third through sixth to get to the Premier League. Their expected goal difference meaning, basically what their goal difference could have, should have been based on the shots taken and given up, was minus 19, which was second worst in the entire 24-team league. They overachieved by one of the top 4 team from an overachieving standpoint over the past 10 years in the league. And generally good defense translates better than good offense when moving up to the Premier League. Well, their defense was terrible. They gave up the second most expected goals, the third best shots in the league. And while they've made a lot of signings since then, there's no like big wow signings in there. So it's really hard for me to see how they don't finish last. So I got it plus 120, and like minus 110, minus 120, I think is still interesting. Any projections you see under 20 points is pretty normal. So it's really hard for me to see them not finishing last.
I just looked at the map to check out where Hull City is. So it's East Coast, north of Birmingham is essentially where it is, for those who care about such things. All right, then there's the top 4, those that advance to the Champions League, top 4. And you have a
top 5 will advance, actually. So you can bet top 5, obviously different prices. Yeah, I like Chelsea here. So, Arsenal City are kind of a given. And then you've got a tier of 3, Chelsea, United, Man United, and Liverpool, that presumably are fighting for 3rd and 4th. And I think Chelsea has the most upside here. Their most important transfer for the offseason was probably their manager, Xabi Alonso, who was at Leverkusen, Real Madrid briefly before he was fired last season. That was really more for not getting along with players and or front office than on the field results. And now he's coming into a Chelsea team that was finished in 10th last year, but their underlying numbers were closer to 5th. So they're not as bad as they ended up last year, and they have a lot of talent that they just couldn't figure out. Cole Palmer, Joao Pedro, Esteval's a young kid. They've got their Pedro Neto, lots of different guys who could come in and score goals. So they have to figure that out. But I'm really confident in Xabi Alonso. I think he's a good manager. So that's the biggest reason. He's just going to kind of steady the ship and be the adult in the room at Chelsea. And with that, I like them top 4 at minus 120.
Top 4, Chelsea, minus 120. This is the only minus bet of all of these. The rest of these are in plus money. Let's do top half and bottom half. You made a bet on each of these.
All right. Yeah, I got Crystal Palace top half. They finished 15th last season, but they were 10th at the midway point before they kind of faded because the last half of the year they were focused on the UEFA Conference League, which is like the CBI, basically the 3rd European competition, but they won that tournament. And that's what they were really focused on once it was clear they were safe from relegation and such. So they are more of a 10th place type of team or better. They also underachieved from an expected goals standpoint significantly last season, scored 33 non-penalty goals, but were expected to get about 52. So that's a pretty big gap that they could, even if they just kind of revert back to that, it'll be pretty good. Most of the attack is still back, at least at the moment. They do have a new manager. Got Pierre Sage is coming in from Lens in France, but I like his resume, so I think they'll be all right. A year ago, they were 155 to finish top half, and now they're 250, and there's not a lot that has changed here, I don't think. So yeah, plus 250 is good for me on Palace to finish top half.
Got to finish in the top 10. That's the top half. Crystal Palace plus 250, and then Aston Villa bottom half plus 275.
Yeah, sort of the opposite story. Villa finished 4th last year, but ran super hot, exceeding their expected goal difference by 12, which was second best in the league. Lost a handful of players. So I'm looking at them at bottom half at plus 275. They're also going to be in Champions League this year, which is obviously good for them, but also means, it's the old you're fighting a battle on multiple fronts problem, where Villa doesn't have the depth of the top few clubs, and they're not as good as those teams. They can't take as many, take a Champions League game off if you're playing a lesser team or something. So I think they're going to struggle. They could be about as good as last year and still fall down the table pretty easily. Because again, that 6th through 15th through 17th is pretty tight. It was only like 5 or 6 points separating half a dozen spots last year. So they drop, they drop a few points just as they're not running as well, and a few more because they're in Champions League, and you're down in the bottom half. So plus 275 on the bottom half for Villa.
I like the SEC comparison you made earlier with the middle that is more murky than the top and bottom.
Right.
Okay. Now I don't know this for a fact because I didn't go back, but by recollection, this is the best historical Paul Carr category of season longs, which is team to be relegated. You've hit these a couple years at least, and all at good prices. You're taking a shot this year in this category as well.
Yeah, last year we got Wolverhampton at plus 300, 330, something like that. Mm-hmm. A couple years ago was think it was Southampton, like plus 110. This year I'm going with Sunderland at plus 350. So they're the fourth favorite to be relegated. Hull City we covered. The other two new teams up are Ipswich Town and Coventry City. I think one of those two is going to survive. They're pretty close. I could be persuaded either way. And I think Sunderland is the best candidate to drop down in. Now, it may seem odd. They finished 7th last year, but they ran super hot, especially early. They ran about 15 goals. The expected goal difference was about 15 goals worse than where they actually were. Didn't take a ton of shots, didn't take a lot of shot quality. And they had a lot of comeback wins, which is, that's good for them, but that's hard to sustain. They didn't score first very often. So they haven't changed the team a whole lot. And they're playing in Europa League, which is the NIT of European soccer. So they've got the 2-front battle issue too. Didn't bring a lot in. If they play back last season again, they're probably in the bottom half. And they could easily, lose a few more points and really struggle here. So plus 350, I think that's pretty good on Sunderland to be relegated.
All right, Paul, we saved the best for last, at least the longest shot for last here. Golden Boot, you are taking a flyer. Boy. What do you got?
We hit a 40-1. We split a 40-1 like 4 years ago on Son Heung-min for Tottenham. So I'm taking another 40-1 on Cole Palmer of Chelsea to win the Golden Boot. Took him last year at 28-1. Didn't come close, but it happens. It's a 40-1 shot. I'm not saying go bet the house on it, but it's worth a sprinkle to me. Here's the case. We always talk about you have to take penalties and you have to play for a good team.
Yes.
Cole Palmer takes penalties, so that's worth probably 5-7 goals, we hope, this season. Plays for a good team in Chelsea. We covered them, a top 4 team, I think. He's got a new manager, Xabi Alonso, who I think will play him in kind of a more of a dual 10 spot that he likes. Basically get him more up the field, closer to goal, have more opportunities. So you get 5 or 6 penalties. He's shown he can score, 15 other goals. And once you top 20, you got a decent shot at it. Now you're still kind of betting that Erling Haaland is going to get hurt so he doesn't score 25 goals. But at 40-1, I think that's worth a sprinkle on Cole Palmer.
All right, we'll go over these towards the end of the show as well, but let's rifle through them. Man City to win the title, plus 350. Chelsea, top 4, minus 120. Crystal Palace, top half of the table, plus 250. Aston Villa, bottom half of the table, plus 275 when all is said and done. Sunderland to be relegated, a Paul Carr special at plus 350. Then there's Hull City. I forgot about that one. Hull City to finish last at plus 120, flirting perhaps with the all-time low record of points. And then Cole Palmer of Chelsea, Golden Boot, 40-1. Paul, let's do it. We'll have you on tomorrow. Tomorrow over a 3-pack of plays.
You betcha. We'll be back.
Okay, Paul Carr, double-header, 3-pack of plays starting out the Premier League season tomorrow. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. At Paul Carr, by the way, on Twitter. Works at True Media Networks. We'll come back. Warren Sharp on the NFL next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It's a big day around here. We got our second annual Pro Football Futures Draft happening 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. So it's during Follow the Money. Dustin Sweetelson will actually be the master of ceremonies for our 2026 VSiN Pro Football Futures Draft, our second annual. 13 VSiN hosts and guests facing off in a fantasy football style snake draft hosted by the great Dustin Sweetelson. Every pick doubles is a handicapping breakdown you can use. Win totals, division winners, player props, and stat leaders. Last year's competitors all back for round 2. Defending champion Patrick Maher, by the way. He will be in the number 1 position in terms of the draft order. He's got the first pick in the draft. Joined by 3 newcomers this year stepping into the Futures Draft room for the first time. Super Bowl winning wide receiver Keyshawn Johnson will join us today. Comedian and sports commentator Nick Bakay. Looking forward to that. And the guru, John Hansen. Don't just watch the Futures Draft, profit from it. Tune in today. Once again, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Only on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We're all looking forward to that later today. So as I was saying earlier on the show, hey, the VSiN Pro Football Betting Guide, we talked about that extensively this summer. Our buddy Aaron Schatz came on, talked about the FTN. Aaron Schatz's FTN Pro Football Almanac. Cleve TA, our buddy, with his football guide. And there was one big omission. We didn't have Warren Sharp on the show, and we absolutely make good on that right now. He is the author of the very cleverly titled Warren Sharp's book, the 2026 Football Preview, which, man, I don't know how many years he's done this for now. I'll ask him that right off the top. It's Warren Sharp, everybody, who you can follow on Twitter. One of the most popular Twitter follows in terms of the football season there ever is at Sharp Football. Warren joins us now. First of all, where are you, Warren?
I'm back in Northern Virginia. I just got back from the Outer Banks. A few weeks prior, was down in the Bahamas. So we've taken some vacation. I've improved my tan, and that's going to fade away during the course of the season progressively as I stay locked in this layer, working on, predicting the outcomes of all these games all the way through till February, Valentine's Day this year, Gil, as you well know.
As we well know, the Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day. Start preparing them. And you know by who I'm talking about. Start preparing them for a Valentine's Day Super Bowl. Okay, Warren, let's just start with that question. How many years have you done this now, this Pro Football Guide?
Yeah, so a few years I was just posting PDFs of this document, and it became a book first for purchase over on Amazon in 2016. So this is my 11th year doing it. Right now we're at 619 pages. I got it here. And you're right, Gil.
Look at that.
Omission didn't come on earlier. Yeah. And so we're going to make good on that. You said we're going to make good on it by having me on. We're going to make even better on it for everybody who's listening. You can get this 619 page book over at Amazon right now. I think it's like 25% off on sale. You can just search for it. If you want the PDF for you guys, Gil, it's going to be absolutely for free.
Wow.
It's just going to be called, go to my website, sharpfootballanalysis.com, and enter the code FREEBOOK. And everybody who's listening today only will get the book for free. I apologize. We're late in the calendar a little bit. Preseason week 2 starts tonight. Everybody's got to get up to speed on my predictions for this upcoming season, how I think things are going to play out. So you can do that very quickly without spending any money using that code FREEBOOK.
Love it. Sharp Analysis, sharpfootballanalysis.com, sharpfootballanalysis.com, free book, promo code. He'll send you the PDF for free. You obviously preview every team. You do fantasy stuff. It's the extensive guide. I mean, you just held it up there. That thing is unbelievably dense. I want to focus, and this is kind of it's kind of been synonymous with you here. You've made this your thing, which is schedule. Now, we'll start with the sort of broader category, which isn't necessarily only your thing. We'll start with toughest schedule, easiest schedule. And then we'll work our way from that into some of the more unique Warren Sharp sort of scheduling angles. But let's just start with the top 5 in each of those categories, strength of schedule.
Yeah, so top 5 easiest schedules. This was updated as of last week. I factor in looking forward at the upcoming season based upon the odds that are current by the sports books. I don't look at 2025 win-loss record or anything in the past. Top 5 easiest schedules: the Lions number 1, the Bengals number 2, Saints number 3, Jets number 4, Baltimore Ravens number 5. The one that stands out to me here a little bit is the Cincinnati Bengals, because I think the AFC North is down a little bit. If you look at all of those other teams that are in the North, obviously we know about the Cleveland Browns, but I think the Baltimore Ravens making some adjustments with a new coaching staff. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike McCarthy coming back to work with Aaron Rodgers, but is this the same Aaron Rodgers that Mike McCarthy was working with in Green Bay, where they were pushing the ball down the field, trying to gain explosives to Devontae Adams? This seems to be the Aaron Rodgers who just wants to get rid of the football underneath, try to survive, to live another play, doesn't want to take any hits in the pocket. Joe Burrow has been excellent against teams outside of the AFC North. If you look at the last 4 years, he's 23 wins and only 9 losses against all other divisions, but he's 8 wins to 11 losses against the AFC North. If he racks up a few more wins against the AFC North this year, and he's now going up against the second easiest schedule in the NFL, I think the Bengals are going to win enough games to not only put themselves back into the postseason, but make themselves have some intrigue there amongst the AFC upper echelon. I took them over 9.5 wins. I took some alt overs on their win totals. I think there's some upside for the Cincinnati Bengals, as you see their schedule displayed there on the screen. Last year, they lost 49.8 EPA from turnovers. That was the third worst mark of any team. They trailed in 16 out of 17 games. They allowed the number 2 most fourth quarter points. Their EPA per play on third downs inside of field goal range, which is a key statistic that I look at. Are you turning those into first downs so that you could score touchdowns, or are you going to have to settle for field goals? They were the fourth worst of any team. We know Joe Burrow was injured. I was on the under of the Cincinnati Bengals last season on their win total, expecting them to struggle and expecting, quite frankly, Joe Burrow to have to carry that team. And if Joe Burrow was injured, that would be a problem. Joe Burrow got injured. Bengals struggled. I think they go over their win total this year.
Very, very strong case for the Cincinnati Bengals. Second easiest schedule. By the way, the easiest schedule, the Detroit Lions, as you point out in your guide in the Warren Sharp football preview. Lions play just 6 games against teams expected to have a winning record this season, 3 against teams expected to have 10+. That's how easy their schedule is. What about the toughest schedules, Warren?
So the 5 toughest schedules based on pure strength of schedule. We're going to talk about rest in a second with Gil. 5 toughest: Arizona Cardinals, Miami Dolphins. It's just hilarious. Those 2 teams that are projected to be the 2 worst also have to deal with the 2 toughest schedules. Then you've got the Carolina Panthers. Interesting notes on them. Washington Commanders, Gil's team, and the Dallas Cowboys round out the 5 most difficult schedules. If we talk about the Miami Dolphins here just briefly, I think it's interesting. They play the 3rd most difficult prep and rest schedule, which factors in some other components that we're going to be talking about momentarily in terms of teams that you're going to face that are off of a bye or have extra rest than you, whereas the Arizona Cardinals actually have an easier schedule in that regard. The Miami Dolphins also play the Las Vegas Raiders in week 1. They'll likely play Kirk Cousins, which is going to make life a little bit more difficult for them in that respect. They've lost a number of skill players. Their secondary might be the worst in the NFL. And then you've got Malik Willis taking steps from behind center. And Malik Willis excelled in Green Bay, if you want to call it that, because the Green Bay defense was able to hold opposing offenses to like 13, 16 points. And so he was able to win games 14-13 or 16-13 or 17-14, that type of score. This Miami Dolphins defense, Jeff Hafley's first year there, they are not going to play as well as Green Bay's defense did last year. They have some of the worst talent in the NFL. They're going to allow a lot of points. I think he's going to struggle. I bet the Miami Dolphins to have the fewest wins in the NFL. I think that was like plus 400 when I got it. It's like maybe plus 375, something like that right now. And then if we want to touch on the Carolina Panthers briefly, another interesting strength of schedule nugget here. They played the 4th easiest schedule of pass defenses last year. This year, I've got them going up against the number 2 most difficult schedule of pass defenses. I think Bryce Young is going to struggle immensely against this schedule of pass defenses. I think the Carolina Panthers are going to struggle to win games this year. I bet them under their win total. I also bet Bryce Young under his passing yardage total. I think he's going to be in for a rude awakening against this difficult schedule of pass defenses he goes up against in 2026.
I love it. Backing it all up with bets. I love it, Warren. Warren Sharp, our guest here this morning. After the break, we got a minute to the break, but after the break, we're going to get into some of the nuts and bolts, some specifics when it comes to the notion of net rest edge, net rest disadvantage, net rest delta, that kind of thing, which Warren has just been great through the years. I want to just ask you 2 macro questions beforehand. One, does the NFL care about this stuff that you sort of expose every offseason? Do they care about scheduling imbalance, generally speaking?
Not to the degree that I do. They try to bluff it off like it doesn't matter at all, when in fact it does play a role, especially if you're talking about teams that are coming off of 3 days extra rest or 3 days less rest. There are some rest situations that matter more than others, but the league primarily cares about who's on TV. How can we get the most ratings on these games to earn the most TV revenue from our advertisers, etc.?
Comes down to the money. The other question, which I'll ask Warren after the break, before he gets into it, is, does this translate? Like, do we have the evidence that this translates into betting edge? And I believe we know the answer to that. Coming back after the break, Warren Sharp, right here on A Numbers Game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A Numbers Game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It is A Numbers Game, live from Circa Resort Casino, downtown Las Vegas. Gil Alexander. That right there, of course, is Bill Krackomberger. This whole hour unscripted with the Crackman Bill Krackomberger. You can follow him on Twitter at Bill Crackman, Crackman with a K. And, of course, the name of the podcast, Wise Cracks, which he does with John Orlando every week. Live here from Circa as well.
Yes, we are on Circa. We film at Circa, and Have some great guests, great fun. Yesterday's podcast was fantastic. Just you guys, if you want to, you can go to just YouTube. Sorry, guys, I'm stuttering. YouTube. Look for put in the search Bill Krackomberger Wager Talk. You find up all my podcasts. But yesterday's was really good too. Just talking about some great things. Hey, listen, it's not a sports betting podcast. We're a Vegas lifestyle. I put my top 3 restaurants currently, 2 of which Gil and I went to the last 2 nights. But it turned into 8 restaurants. So we talked about 8 of them.
You couldn't stop at 3.
Couldn't stop at 2. I couldn't stop at 3. Yeah.
Wisecracks with John Orlando. Ryan Hyatt, tremendous discussion this morning on a numbers game between Gil and Bill about the dearth of characters these days in all walks of life. Our world has become as bland as Henry Hill's spaghetti in Arizona. Thanks for the great stories. That's a Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Ray Liotta.
Egg noodles with ketchup.
Ray Liotta at Witness Protection Program. That's Henry Hill at Goodfellas. John Lerner. Hey, Gil, you're going to have to ask Jay Cohen next week how much money Crack lent him at the Palm Steakhouse one fun night in 2002.
Was that long ago? Oh, my God. 24 years ago. So I used to be part of it. Before the internet took off with Twitter, they had these forums on the internet. So I used to write for a website, RX.com.
RX, yeah.
And Jay Cohen owning World Sports Exchange, wow, that was 24 years ago. My God. So he had a gathering in Las Vegas at the Palm outside Caesars in the Forum Shops, which was the restaurant.
Still there.
Yeah, not as good as it used to be. But so he had a gathering there, and a lot of people showed up. And the bill was like $7,500 for us. There was like 50 people or whatever, you know. And Jay only brought $5,000. So
had to lend him a
I
few
don't know
bucks.
why he came to me, but he did. Jay came to me and said, "Crack, you got $2,500. I'll put it in your account. I'll give it back to you. Something, whatever he did. I don't know what he did, but wow, Jonathan. I forget. How do you know that? I forgot about that.
How do you know that information, Jonathan?
Jonathan's been around. Yeah, that's right.
No, it's Jay Cohen from World Sports Exchange on next week here on the show, courtesy of Crack. What else were you written down over there?
I
know what you just said off air about the
I asked you if you know what happened.
No,
because I seen William Hill. I seen Caesars said they were doing 10-cent baseball lines. I seen Hard Rock said real, like true 10-cent baseball lines.
This is what should be on those billboards.
It should be on the billboard.
Yeah.
Right. Break at 160, go up to minus 160, come back 150. So I just came in here, I sat down outside before I came in, and I seen minus 200 on a baseball game, come back 184. I'm like, wait a minute. Since when is Circa doing that? And then I started looking at the lines. Minus 158, come back 148. I said, because they break it.
So dime lines are going way high now.
The only thing I'm thinking, this is a hypothesis from all these sites. I know Hard Rock just did it, which is a big. There's more, by the way. There's 4 or 5 of them. Now that I see this one, this is 5, I believe. I'm guessing that.
Yeah, my only conclusion.
My only conclusion is the baseball business is being eaten up by those markets you talked about earlier.
Well, duh.
Yeah.
Well, no. Also, just I mean,
why would Circa do it? They're here. Well, you know what? They are in other jurisdictions where they are legal. You're right. With the prediction markets.
I'm not talking about the prediction market stuff. That could be part of it. I wasn't even referring to that. But my hypothesis was, well, you just figured out that if you if dime lines were a dying breed and you killed them more and more every year,
right?
And we had one last holdout, right? And then
gotcha.
All of a sudden, do you finally understand that you're not going to have bettors come and bet baseball anymore?
Chris Andrews, tell him Michael, go on, Michael.
Yeah.
You killed our baseball business.
That's right.
Yeah, and then they went back to 10-cent lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's nice to see that the public is getting a little bit better of a shake because more and more you see casinos and sports books chopping up our advantages. So it's nice to see Circa do that.
All good with 5.5 weeks left in the baseball season. Might as well. Better late than never.
Yeah, but maybe this is a good sign for next year.
Maybe
they see it, and it could be a good sign for next year. Baseball, second half of the season after All-Star break, very tough to beat. Even the groups that tried. I know when I worked for Billy Walters, me and Al in Boston, actually, at the same time, I know that he ventured one season into hockey, one season into baseball, NBA. It's so tough, baseball.
When I used to do baseball every day,
everyone stops
for Dr. Bob.
All-Star.
Usually. The 2 and 3 weeks. Some people say, "Oh, when the rosters expand, it gets hard." That was never the problem for me. August, September was never the problem. But when the 2 or 3 weeks after the All-Star game, that's when it was always squirrely. Like the numbers just go out of whack.
Right.
And I could never really pinpoint why that was. Teams just sort of, I don't know if they eased guys back in. I never really could wrap my arms around. But those, I learned to avoid those 2-3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Gil, I just found out about this. I listen, of course I get limited at sports books and maybe even thrown off the app. We don't want you on the app, only at the counter, whatever it may be. Or they just throw you out altogether. Now, when I say throw you out, it means they throw you off the app, but they don't trespass you. I just heard and someone, maybe people can confirm. So some of these sports books are trespassing people for betting sports. I was like, yeah. Then they said Churchill Downs and Bet Rivers, which I heard of Bet Rivers. They're in all over the country.
Todd is at Bet Rivers all the time in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so I heard, but they're trespassing people that beat them, and this is multiple people that told me this.
Trespass, meaning physically walking you
you're
out
not
of the
allowed,
building.
we want you out of the. Yeah, we want you out. Yeah.
For sports betting.
This guy's trying to win. Get him out of here. Yeah.
Wow.
So I heard that, and maybe you could someone could tell.
Yeah.
Influencers. I just a little rant on influencers. How stupid they are. Some of them.
Oh, dude.
They are so. I seen an influencer say he bought 9 Ferraris off sports betting wins, and how much of a bankroll? He says he has a $500 million bankroll. I said, wait a minute, hold on, time out. Let's say $50 million. Which sports book is letting you win 9 Ferraris and $50 million? However, I think I'll say this: they're making so much money because the followers that buy into this are just stupider than him.
So you and I have talked about this in different forms through the years. We will never be able to combat the human instinct of looking at somebody else's alleged fame and fortune.
Could be AI even. Yeah.
And people get so drunk, amazed by this. And from Vegas Dave to this guy that you're talking about, I talked about that HBO documentary that was that never got off the ground, where I spent the day with a couple influencers.
Yep.
And the dude was like, I'm the biggest football bettor in the world. And I was like, walk me through that. Oh yeah, I just bet $1 million on it. I was really, where'd you bet? Oh, they all take it. And he ended up in jail. Of course he did, right? But people are mesmerized by these types, and no matter how much you and I bring it up, we'll never be able to combat it.
No, absolutely not. Oh, another thing, driving home last night, so Nifty told me another story about the Leonard Skinner had that plane crash. It killed many members, including the
lead
founder.
Singer. The founder, Van Zandt.
Well, yeah, Van Zandt. So Nifty says to me, that Leonard Skinner plane, we were all in that like multiple times, and even Frank was like, this plane is just no good. I was like, wait a minute.
Really?
Nifty, you never told me this story on air or anything?
They were in that.
He said, yeah, we used that plane a couple times. He said, that plane was we knew it was no good. The plane just had terrible vibrations. I was like, wow, that's unbelievable.
I didn't hear that story.
It's a new story from Nifty. I was like, wow.
It was Ronnie Van Zandt was the lead singer and founder, who was, I think, one of 2 members killed. Don't hold me to that. But that was, if you watch like Leonard Skinner Behind the Music, they go through it in detail.
Fantastic.
But the other thing that Nifty said, which is also doubly alarming about that, is one of the things he says about Sinatra was that Sinatra, despite weather, would always want to
a book after the plane. Let's get out of here.
Aggressively tell the pilot, I don't care. Let's just get out of here.
Fly above the clouds.
Fly
with
above
the helicopter.
the clouds. We'll get through
How lucky
it.
did he get? No, I mean, seriously, nothing happened. He said the pilot said it's going to be a little bit rough and it's raining, and he said fly above the clouds. Sinatra said,
and he got lucky.
Got lucky.
He got lucky. And then combine that with the fact that they had the Leonard Skinner plane at times.
Yeah. Real quick before we go off air. So I used to love the Cirque du Soleil shows. That was at the Mirage. The Beatles show was great. Mystere, that's at Treasure Island still. I think it's a must-see for anybody.
Really?
I love Mystere.
Never been.
Oh, it's fantastic. We're going to go then. It's just, if you like music and show and just the visual you get. So the show capacity for these shows are down so much that shows are closing. They just closed one of the Cirque du Soleil shows.
The attendance, you mean?
The attendance.
Oh, wow.
So they're down to averaging 35% attendance. Like, you have to pay multiple performers for the. I don't know what happened here, but like Mystere, Ka, O are the big ones in town.
Yeah.
Mystere is a definite must see because now that I hear this, they have to be losing money. I don't think Mystere loses money. But, the Ka, the stage, just starts moving, people hanging off of it.
I've seen Ka, they're incredible.
Mystere, so you like that kind of abstract. I have to watch, when I watch it, I find things every time differently. I've seen it many times.
I haven't been in years.
I just hope they all don't close. I really enjoy those type of shows. And get out there, and when you come to town, see Mystere, and there's some discount tickets on the internet.
Bill, we've run out of time. Prop Points is next. Enjoy from VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, in our NFL Futures Draft later today, 2 p.m. Pacific. Let's go.